Gardeners everywhere swear by vinegar and baking soda, but only one truly brings your soil to life. You've probably seen the fizzy reaction in a cup or sprinkled a little in your garden, wondering if it actually helps your plants grow. Today, we're diving into what really works, the science behind it, and the surprising effect on your garden that most people overlook. By the end of this video, you'll know which kitchen staple is a game changer for healthy, thriving plants, and which one is just fizz and hype. Meet Mrs. Eleanor Huxley, a 76-year-old gardener with hands weathered by decades of tending soil and sun-drenched mornings. Eleanor has always believed that the simplest things in life often make the biggest difference. Her garden is her sanctuary, a place where she nurtures not just plants, but memories, stories, and wisdom she loves to share. For as long as she can remember, Eleanor has relied on home remedies, things like leftover coffee grounds, crushed eggshells, and yes, vinegar and baking soda, trusting the little miracles hidden in her kitchen. Gardening, she says with a gentle smile, isn't about fancy tools or expensive fertilizers. It's about understanding your plants, listening to them, and giving them what they really need. Her neighbors often peek over the fence, curious about her thriving roses, her lush tomato plants, and her fragrant herbs. What surprises them is how she does it all without complicated formulas or store-bought chemicals. Just patience, observation, and a touch of old-fashioned wisdom. Eleanor embodies a kind of warmth and practicality that resonates with anyone who's spent years learning life the hands-on way. Seniors watching this video will nod knowingly at her stories, remembering gardens they've tended, tips they've tried, and the joy of nurturing life with simple, thoughtful care. Through Eleanor, we see that gardening isn't just about plants, it's about connection, legacy, and the quiet satisfaction of seeing something bloom under your care. When gardeners talk about soil life, they're not just talking about dirt. Soil is alive, bustling with tiny creatures working behind the scenes to help your plants thrive. These invisible helpers include earthworms, beneficial bacteria, fungi, and countless microorganisms. Each one has a role, and together, they create a balanced ecosystem right under your feet. Think of it like your own gut. Just as a healthy gut depends on the right balance of bacteria to digest food and keep you feeling well, healthy soil depends on these tiny organisms to break down organic matter, release nutrients, and protect plants from disease. Without them, even the best fertilizer won't do much. Your soil simply can't deliver the nutrients your plants need. Earthworms are the gardener's friends we can often see. They tunnel through the soil, creating pathways for air and water to reach plant roots. And their castings are packed with nutrients that plants can absorb easily. Fungi, especially mycorrhizal fungi, form a delicate network connecting roots to nutrients far from reach. Beneficial bacteria decompose organic matter, making nitrogen, phosphorus, and other elements available for plants. Even microorganisms we can't see with the naked eye are constantly working to keep the soil balanced, suppress diseases, and improve water retention. Healthy soil doesn't just feed plants, it protects them. When soil life is thriving, plants are stronger, more resilient to pests, and better able to recover from stress like drought or extreme heat. It's a system where everything works together and the balance matters. Too much of one thing, or introducing harmful chemicals, can disrupt the harmony and harm your garden. Understanding soil life also changes the way we garden. Instead of seeing soil as something to pile fertilizer on, we start thinking of it as a living partner. Composting, mulching, rotating crops, and avoiding harsh chemicals are all ways to support this ecosystem. Even the vinegar and baking soda debate ties into this. What you add to the soil can either nurture this balance or disrupt it. By appreciating the life beneath our feet, we start gardening in a way that's smarter, gentler, and far more rewarding. Like Mrs. Eleanor Huxley, who knows that the tiniest creatures can make the biggest difference. We learn that thriving soil isn't built overnight. It's nurtured with care, observation, and respect for the living system that feeds our plants. And once you understand this, every scoop of soil becomes a story of life, growth, and quiet wonder. Many gardeners have heard it. Vinegar is a magical, all-purpose solution for the garden. Some say it wakes up the soil, giving it life. Others claim it cleans the soil, or even helps plants grow faster. It's easy to see why. Vinegar fizzes in a cup, smells sharp and powerful, and seems like it could do something impressive. But here's the truth. Most of what people believe about vinegar and soil is a myth. Vinegar is acidic, usually around 5% acetic acid. That acidity is what makes it so effective at killing unwanted weeds or cleaning surfaces. It can dissolve stubborn dirt, remove algae from pots, or even disinfect tools. But that same acidity that cleans so well is not kind to the very soil life your plants depend on. Sprinkle too much on your garden, and vinegar can harm, or even kill, the beneficial bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms that make nutrients available to your plants. In other words, it doesn't wake up the soil, it can disrupt the delicate balance of life beneath your feet. Think of it this way. If soil life is like a healthy gut, vinegar is a very strong stomach acid. In small doses, it can be helpful for cleaning or targeting a problem. But if poured directly onto the gut of your soil, it can damage the friendly helpers that keep the ecosystem alive and thriving. Plants won't get hurt immediately, but over time, repeated use can reduce soil fertility, leaving the garden weaker and less productive. The bottom line, vinegar has its uses in the garden, but improving soil life is not one of them. It's safe for cleaning tools, patios, or killing weeds in concentrated spots, but it's not a magic elixir for your plants. Healthy soil comes from nurturing the microorganisms, composting, and maintaining balance, not pouring household vinegar on the dirt. By understanding the truth, gardeners can make better choices. Instead of reaching for vinegar, consider adding organic matter, mulching, or introducing beneficial microbes. These actions support the life in your soil, strengthen plants naturally, and keep your garden thriving for years to come. The next time someone tells you vinegar will make your flowers bloom faster, you'll know it's a myth rooted in curiosity, not science, and knowing the difference makes you a wiser, more confident gardener. Even though vinegar isn't a miracle worker for soil life, it's easy to see why gardeners sometimes think it helps. There are moments when vinegar seems to make a difference, but that difference is often an illusion. Understanding why can save you frustration and help. You use vinegar in ways that actually make sense. One reason vinegar seems useful is that it can temporarily remove salt buildup on pots. Over time, minerals from tap water or fertilizers can form a crust on the edges of your pots. Wiping them with a little vinegar dissolves the deposits and makes your containers look clean and fresh. It's satisfying to see the white crust disappear, and it gives the sense that the soil itself has been rejuvenated, but in reality, the soil underneath hasn't gained any nutrients. Vinegar is also effective at killing mold and mildew on hard surfaces. Gardeners often spray it on benches, watering cans, or pathways to remove unsightly mold. The surface looks cleaner, healthier, and more cared for, so naturally, it feels like the garden itself is benefiting. Similarly, vinegar is excellent at tackling mineral crusts on watering spouts or tools, making everything look new again. These visual improvements create the perception that your plants are healthier, even if the underlying soil biology hasn't changed. This is why vinegar can give the illusion of freshness. When your pots look cleaner and mold disappears, it feels like you've improved your garden. But it's important to remember, while vinegar is great for cleaning, it doesn't feed the soil, nurture earthworms, or support the microbes that actually help your plants grow. The life in the soil is what counts, and that's where compost, mulch, and beneficial microbes make a real difference. Think of it like tidying your home versus nourishing your body. Wiping down a counter with vinegar makes your kitchen look sparkling and smells nice, but it doesn't give you energy or strengthen your health. In the same way, vinegar can make your garden look refreshed, without actually improving the soil life your plants rely on. Understanding this distinction helps you use vinegar wisely, where it belongs, for cleaning and spot treatments, without expecting it to perform miracles underground. Have you ever tried vinegar in your garden? How did it go? Share your story below. Your experience might help another gardener see what works and what's just for show. Baking soda, like vinegar, is a common kitchen ingredient that gardeners have long experimented with in their soil. But what it actually does, and what it doesn't, can be surprising. Understanding its effects helps you use it safely and effectively, without harming the life in your garden. Baking soda is alkaline, meaning it can temporarily raise the pH of your soil. In certain cases, this seems helpful, especially if your soil is slightly acidic. A small adjustment in pH can change how nutrients are absorbed by plants, but it's important to remember that this effect is temporary. Pour too much baking soda into the soil, and it can create stress for plants. Roots may struggle to take up nutrients. And beneficial microbes, the tiny organisms that break down organic matter and keep soil healthy, can be harmed. However, baking soda does have a useful role in the garden, controlling powdery mildew on leaves. When used gently as a diluted spray, baking soda changes the surface environment of leaves, just enough to make it harder for mildew to grow. It's a subtle, non-toxic approach that many gardeners appreciate, especially when dealing with delicate plants or avoiding harsh chemical fungicides. The key is moderation. A light touch, not a heavy pour, makes all the difference. It's also worth noting that baking soda is not a magic booster for soil life. Unlike compost, mulch, or organic matter, it doesn't feed microbes or improve the living ecosystem beneath your feet. But compared to vinegar, baking soda is gentler. If a little touches the soil accidentally, it's less likely to cause long-term damage to earthworms or microorganisms. It's safer for spot treatments, but it's still not a replacement for nurturing the soil's natural life. Think of it like seasoning in cooking. A pinch of baking soda can adjust flavor, or in the garden, leaf mildew, but too much can ruin the dish. Similarly, in your garden, using baking soda carefully can help with minor problems without harming the overall balance. But relying on it to make your soil come alive is a misconception. Healthy, thriving soil comes from organic matter, balanced pH, and the living community of microbes and fungi that sustain your plants. By understanding the truth about baking soda, gardeners can make informed choices, using it where it's helpful, avoiding excess, and focusing on practices that genuinely enrich soil life. In the next chapter, we'll see the real solution that truly makes soil come alive, something both gentle and effective for your garden ecosystem. Now for the moment many gardeners have been waiting for, the truth about what actually brings soil to life. Despite all the myths, neither vinegar nor baking soda has the power to wake up soil. The fizz, the acidity, the temporary pH adjustments, they might make us feel like something is happening. But the real hero of a thriving garden is much simpler and much more natural. Organic matter. When you add compost, fallen leaves, or kitchen scraps to your garden, you're giving the tiny organisms in your soil exactly what they need. Microbes, the invisible army of bacteria and fungi, feed on carbon-rich materials. They break it down, turning it into nutrients your plants can actually use. Earthworms, the friendly gardeners of the soil, love moist, natural materials, tunneling through the dirt and leaving behind castings packed with fertility. In short, when you feed the soil real food, it responds with life, vigor, and resilience. Think of it like a well-balanced diet for your garden. Just as your body thrives on wholesome, nutrient-rich foods rather than sugar or quick fixes, soil thrives on organic matter, not chemical tricks. Every leaf, every peel, every bit of composted kitchen waste becomes a feast for microbes. They multiply, fungi grow, worms flourish. And suddenly the soil isn't just dirt, it's a living ecosystem, buzzing with energy, breaking down nutrients, holding moisture, and supporting strong, healthy plants. Adding organic matter also improves soil structure. It makes clay soils looser, sandy soils hold water better, and it encourages roots to grow deep and strong. Unlike vinegar or baking soda, which only offer short-term, superficial effects, organic matter builds a foundation that lasts season after season. It's simple, safe, and effective, and it connects gardeners back to the natural rhythms of life in the soil. This is why Mrs. Eleanor Huxley has always relied on compost and natural materials in her garden. She knows that while kitchen chemicals might catch the eye or solve a small problem, the real magic comes from patience, observation, and feeding the soil what it craves. By understanding this, we can stop chasing myths and start nurturing gardens that truly thrive, from the tiniest microbe to the tallest sunflower. So the next time you think about waking up your soil, remember, it's not the fizz or the alkaline spray that brings life. It's the humble scraps, the fallen leaves, and the compost heap the real food that soil organisms need to create a thriving, vibrant ecosystem under your feet. Feed your soil, and it will feed your garden in return. Mrs. Eleanor Huxley has a gentle, time-honored tradition that keeps her garden thriving. She calls it her soil tea. Instead of reaching for chemicals or quick fixes, she takes leftover vegetable scraps, carrot tops, onion peels, even wilted greens, and combines them with a handful of crushed leaves. She lets this mixture steep, like brewing a warm cup of tea, and then pours it lovingly around her garden beds. This simple, natural ritual feeds the microbes in her soil, encourages earthworms to flourish, and gives her plants a boost that no vinegar or baking soda ever could. It's quiet, unassuming, and profoundly effective. Seniors watching will recognize the wisdom here. Gardening isn't about shortcuts or gimmicks. It's about patience, observation, and feeding your soil the way you would nourish your body, with care, respect, and consistency. What's one old-fashioned gardening trick someone taught you? Share it. You might help another senior gardener today. Here's how to bring these lessons into your own garden safely and effectively. Vinegar. Use only for cleaning tools or removing mineral deposits from pots. Avoid pouring it directly on your soil. It can harm beneficial microbes. Baking soda. Apply sparingly, only for powdery mildew on leaves. Overuse can stress plants and reduce microbial activity. Organic matter. Compost, grass clippings, leaves, and kitchen scraps are your soil's best friends. Feed the soil regularly, like you would feed your body, and watch it thrive. Consistency matters. Small, gentle actions every week make a bigger difference than dramatic, one-time fixes. Your garden grows in response to steady care and attention, not quick chemical tricks. Return to Mrs. Huxley's garden. Roses in full bloom. Tomatoes heavy on the vine. Herbs fragrant in the breeze. The soil beneath her feet hums with life. Narration ties it together. She always said the soil didn't need chemistry. It needed kindness. Her quiet wisdom shows that thriving gardens come from nurturing relationships with the living world beneath our hands, not from shortcuts or fads. What's one simple thing you do that makes your garden smile? Leave your answer below. Your tip might brighten someone's season. This invites reflection, sharing, and community building. Perfect for senior gardeners who value connection and learning from each other. If this video helped you feel more confident in your gardening, give it a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where wisdom grows deeper every season. Emphasize that every small action in the garden, like every story shared in the comments, contributes to a thriving, connected community of gardeners who care deeply about the life under their feet.